Did you hear the news? So apparently Sony is working on a brand new PlayStation handheld. You wanna know more? Let's look into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today I would like to talk about brand new PlayStation handheld. Well, that's a rumor, guys, by the way, so take everything with a pinch of salt. And by the way, you are looking at PlayStation Vita trailer right now. I'm sure you remember that console, fantastic console handheld. I had one, really enjoyed it, played a lot of games on it. It's a shame that PlayStation kind of killed it by not supporting it with enough of software. It was actually interesting to see how, especially in Japan, third-party developers did support it for way longer than PlayStation did. So yeah, it is what it is. PlayStation Vita is dead, but it looks like Sony has some plans to release a brand new PlayStation handheld. And I'm not talking about that PlayStation Portal, that kind of tablet-like attachment, Wi-Fi attachment to PlayStation 5. I'm talking about a proper handheld which you can take and play games locally on the handheld. You don't have to stream anything, you don't have to connect to PlayStation 5 or cloud, right? So what's the big deal all about? Well, first off, let's talk about who leaked this information. So this information is a courtesy of Tom of Moore's Law is Dead. You will find the link in the description of this video below to his video where he talks about it. He was actually talking about PlayStation 5 Pro specs a little bit more and stuff, and he also mentioned that he spoke with some folks at AMD. Well, he's got some insiders there apparently, and they told him that not only PlayStation 5 Pro is coming, but it looks like Sony PlayStation is working on a new handheld. Now, from what he said, it sounds like this handheld is still far off, so don't expect this new console to arrive anytime soon. Like, don't expect it in next 2-3 years, I think. But looks like it's more than just a concept right now. It sounds like PlayStation is paying some good money to AMD for the, some sort of designing work for the chip and that kind of stuff. Now, he didn't really get into too much details on, what has already been done. He did mention some very early specs, but you know what? First off, this is still a rumor, so we don't know if it's actually true. And even if it's true, specs may change. So I think that it would be way too early to talk about specs anyway. But what I really want to talk about today is whether or not that kind of console would actually make sense. And I think it would, especially for Sony, that is very hardware driven, really. And if you really think about PlayStation 5, yeah, they are selling a ton of these consoles for sure, right? I mean, PlayStation 5 is actually a huge success for Sony, but still, the console market is not really growing much, right? I mean, if you look at PlayStation 5 sale, I don't think they will sell more than they sold PlayStation 2s. I think PlayStation 2 is still the best selling PlayStation ever. If maybe it's even the best selling console ever. It might be the case. I'm not sure. It's either PlayStation 1 or 2. I think it's PlayStation 2 that sold more. So you see, since PlayStation 2, they never reached that point, right? They never sold more. So that means that they're not really growing the user base. That's not good for the company, right? So how can they expand? Well, they tried with Vita, right? Well, that was a long time ago. I don't know why they stopped supporting it, but then they've started. By the way, PSP was actually pretty successful anyway. They sold like 60 or 70 million. I'm talking about the very first PlayStation handheld. Then they created a VR, which, let's face it, like, it's not the biggest success. Even if you look at how many portable consoles they sold, PSP sold, like I said, 60 or 70 million, and how many units they sold Vita, like a couple of million maybe. So it's not the greatest success, but if you see, I'm sure you see pattern here, right? They are trying to grow the user base by releasing more devices. Now recently they started releasing the PlayStation Portal, but it's actually it's hard to describe it as a proper console because it's just attachment to PlayStation 5, really, right? But if you know where I'm going with this, right? They are trying to grow their user base or keep their user base in the PlayStation ecosystem by releasing more hardware, right? Games, of course, too, but this is the way to go for them, right? That's their business model. And now it looks like they are more and more interested in growing the user base even more by releasing another handheld. And I'm sure they are noticing the big success that Switch is. That's one thing. Another thing is that if you look at PC market, there's Steam Deck, which is a huge success too. There's all these AMD APU based on mobile devices too, like ROG Ally and a couple of other devices that plays games, Xbox Game Pass games. Some of them run on Windows, some like Steam Deck runs on Linux or some version of it, right? But what I'm trying to say is that mobile gaming is becoming a thing right now, right? And I think that's why PlayStation decided to go with that too. And it's I guess Switch is more of a hybrid console, and I don't think PlayStation will go that route big time with this console. I think it's more about I guess, I don't know, allowing you to play more games on the go, because like, this is the new thing right now. And especially in Japan, especially in Asia, Switch is selling like hotcakes, right? And PlayStation, PlayStation 5 sells very well in Japan too, but not as well as Switch, if you know what I mean. So that shows a new trend. Well, not really totally new trend, but I guess more and more people live very hectic lives on the go. There's a lot of adults right now also that travel to work, or they travel somewhere, whatever, and they just want to spend some time on playing games. And not necessarily everyone wants to play on mobile, because mobile, well, let's face it, the touch controls are not that great, really. So if I were to choose between the fastest mobile phone, or just I guess a Switch, or maybe ROG Ally, I would go with ROG Ally, for example, right? Because it has buttons and everything. It just works, right? I don't really have to worry about it. So I guess it all makes sense. So yeah, Sony is very obviously, well, Sony as a company is a hardware manufacturer at heart. That's where they came from, really. The software part just came recently, well, not really recently, with obviously with PlayStation. That was back in 1995. So they've been around for a while, of course, but like 30 years now, yeah, pretty much. So they've been around, but still, Sony is a hardware manufacturer, and it makes sense for them to actually kind of push their ecosystem in that direction. So we'll see where that goes. I'm kind of, I may consider buying that kind of handheld, because with like, being able to play all these games, I guess it's going to be interesting to see where the PC mobile devices will be at like 2-3 years from now. I'm talking about like successors to like Steam Deck and ROG Allies and that kind of stuff. I would be interested in like prices and specs and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a very interesting battle that we'll be watching in next couple of months between Nintendo Switch, ROG Ally, and all these AMD APU handheld PCs, Steam Deck, and of course looks like Sony PlayStation now as well. So anyway, guys, interesting topic. Like I said, I didn't really want to talk about specs because it's too early. It's just like this idea of Sony releasing a handheld. You know what? All this talk about PlayStation Vita makes me want to buy PlayStation Vita again. My old PlayStation Vita broke, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, and I was thinking about fixing it, but I think it's just like too old right now. It got wet too, unfortunately, so I think it's not repairable right now. But maybe I'll grab another one, like second hand, of course, but still. So anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Would you buy a PlayStation device, PlayStation handheld device? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.